Hey there, fellow deep divers. Welcome to another episode where we plunge headfirst into a pool of fascinating research, all curated by you, our amazing listener. Before we get started, do us a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out and ensures you don't miss out on future deep dives. Now, get ready to have your preconceived notions uprooted, because today we're venturing into the captivating world of plant intelligence.
Ooh.
Yes, you heard that right. Plants. Those seemingly silent and passive inhabitants of our world might be harboring a lot more than meets the eye.
You got that right.
And to guide us through this intricate labyrinth of roots and revelations, we have with us an expert in plant behavior, someone who can decipher the secret language of leaves and unveil the hidden wonders of the plant kingdom.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay.
The notion of plant intelligence has captivated thinkers for centuries. And recent research is really pushing the boundaries of what we thought we knew about the capabilities of our leafy companions.
Okay, let's branch out into this topic, shall we? We've got a stack of research papers and articles that suggest plants are capable of much more than just photosynthesis and growing towards the light.
Okay.
We're talking about things like communication, memory, and even decision-making.
Indeed. To truly appreciate how far we've come, it's helpful to look back at the historical roots of this idea. For centuries, Western thought was heavily influenced by the Aristotelian concept of the vegetative soul. Plants were seen as possessing only the most basic form of life, capable of growth and reproduction, but lacking the senses and intelligence attributed to animals.
So it's fascinating how these ancient philosophical ideas shaped our perception of plants for centuries.
Yeah.
It's almost like we've been wearing these plant blindness glasses, preventing us from seeing the full spectrum of their abilities.
Right. Absolutely. But thankfully, history is peppered with individuals who dared to challenge these assumptions. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The pioneering work of Indian scientist Jagadish Chandra Bose brought a fresh perspective.
His experiments were truly groundbreaking. I was amazed to learn that he even drew parallels between plant and animal physiology, suggesting a deeper connection than many scientists at the time were willing to accept.
Bose's work faced considerable resistance initially, even being rejected by prestigious scientific institutions. But his persistence and rigorous experimental approach eventually earned him recognition, paving the way for a more open-minded approach to plant behavior.
It's a powerful reminder that scientific progress often involves challenging deeply ingrained beliefs and pushing the boundaries of what we think is possible. So let's dive into the heart of the matter. Plant cognition. How do we even begin to study the cognitive abilities of organisms that don't have brains in the traditional sense?
That's the million-dollar question. Scientists have traditionally relied on ethograms, detailed catalogs of observable behaviors, to study animal behavior. However, applying this approach to plants presents unique challenges.
That makes sense. Plants operate on such different timescales than animals. Their movements are often subtle and slow, unfolding over hours, days, or even weeks.
Exactly. A plant's response to a stimulus might not be immediately apparent, requiring us to develop new methods of observation and interpretation.
So it's not that plants aren't engaging in complex behaviors. It's just that we need to adjust our lens to appreciate their unique way of interacting with the world.
Precisely.
Okay.
And when we do, we uncover a world of astonishing abilities. One compelling example is habituation. The ability to filter out irrelevant stimuli. Think of the Mimosa pudica, often called the sensitive plant.
Ah, yes, the plant that dramatically folds its leaves when touched. I've always been fascinated by that.
Now, imagine repeatedly touching a mimosa plant. What's remarkable is that it eventually stops responding, becoming habituated to the stimulus.
So it learns.
Studies have shown that this habituation can last for weeks.
Weeks?
Yeah.
That implies a form of memory, doesn't it?
Exactly.
The plant is essentially learning that the touch is not a threat. And remembering that information.
Exactly.
Wow.
This challenges the notion that memory is exclusive to organisms with complex nervous systems. Plants, it seems, have their own ways of storing and retrieving information.
So if plants can remember, can they also communicate?
Mhm.
I mean, do they actually talk to each other?
Plants communicate in ways that might seem alien to us,
Okay.
but they're incredibly effective. They release a complex array of chemical signals into the soil and air, conveying information about their identity,
Okay.
their health, and even the presence of threats.
It's like they're speaking a language we're only beginning to decipher.
Yeah.
I read about research showing that plants can recognize their kin, even when physically separated.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
It's a fascinating area of research.
Okay.
Studies have shown that plants can distinguish between their own siblings and unrelated plants, even when grown in separate pots. They seem to release specific chemical signals that allow them to identify their relatives.
That's incredible. It's like they have a sense of family. A way of recognizing their own kind.
And it's not just about recognizing kin.
Yeah.
Plants can also communicate with other species, forming intricate networks of interaction.
Okay.
One of the most mind-boggling examples is the Wood Wide Web.
The Wood Wide Web. I've heard about this underground network of fungal threads that connect trees and other plants, like a giant social network for the forest.
Exactly. Through these mycorrhizal networks, plants can exchange nutrients, water, and even chemical signals, creating a complex web of interdependence.
So trees might be sharing resources and information with each other through these underground connections.
And not just trees of the same species.
Right.
Mycorrhizal networks can connect trees of different species.
Okay.
Creating a vast and intricate communication system that spans the entire forest.
It's like they're all part of one giant community.
Right.
Supporting each other and sharing knowledge.
And this communication isn't limited to the underground realm.
Okay.
Plants also release volatile organic compounds into the air, which can act as signals to other plants, insects, and even animals.
It's like they're broadcasting their messages to the world, using a language we're only beginning to understand.
And one of the most fascinating aspects of this communication is the ability of plants to tailor their messages to specific situations. An example, when attacked by an insect, a plant can release volatile compounds that attract beneficial insects that prey on the attacker.
It's like they're calling for backup when under siege.
Precisely.
Wow.
And this ability to respond strategically to threats suggests a level of sophistication that goes beyond simple reflexes.
All this talk about communication and strategy makes me wonder, do plants actually make decisions? I mean, can they weigh options and choose the best course of action?
It's a question that's increasingly being explored by researchers.
Okay.
Plants constantly face a multitude of challenges, from finding resources to avoiding predators. And their responses often suggest a level of decision-making that's surprisingly complex.
Can you give me an example?
Think about a plant's roots. They don't just grow randomly. They explore the soil, seeking out patches of nutrients and water. This involves sensing gradients of these resources and making choices about where to invest their growth.
It's like they're constantly analyzing their environment and making cost-benefit calculations.
Exactly.
Wow.
And these decisions aren't just about finding resources. Plants also make choices about how to defend themselves. Some plants, for example, can release different types of defensive chemicals depending on the type of attacker they're facing.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all defense strategy. They're actually tailoring their response to the specific threat.
Precisely. And this ability to adapt their defense mechanisms suggests a remarkable level of flexibility in decision-making.
This is all so mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, what about the Venus flytrap? Its behavior has always intrigued me. Can you delve into the research that suggests it can actually count?
The Venus flytrap, a marvel of the plant kingdom, is a carnivorous plant that exhibits a remarkable ability that challenges our understanding of plant behavior. It possesses specialized leaves that snap shut when triggered by unsuspecting prey.
So it's not just a simple reflex.
No.
It's not snapping shut at the first touch.
Not at all.
Okay.
What's fascinating is that it requires 2 or more touches within a short time to trigger the trap. This is where the concept of counting comes in. The plant seems to be able to remember the first touch and only closes when a second touch confirms the presence of prey.
It's like the plant is making a calculated decision.
Yeah.
One touch could be an accident, but 2 touches, That's definitely dinner.
Precisely. And it gets even more complex.
Okay.
Research has shown that the Venus flytrap doesn't just count to 2.
Okay.
It can count to 5.
Wow.
It only releases digestive enzymes after 5 stimulations, suggesting a surprising level of sophistication.
Wow. It's like the plant is doing a cost-benefit analysis, ensuring that the prey is worth the energy expenditure of closing the trap and initiating digestion.
And it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
The Venus flytrap can also remember the size of its prey, adjusting the amount of digestive enzymes it releases accordingly.
Okay, this is seriously blowing my mind.
Yeah.
The Venus flytrap is like a tiny green mathematician.
It certainly challenges our assumptions about the cognitive abilities of plants, and it leads us to another fascinating example of plant behavior that seems to defy logic.
Okay.
The mimicry skills of the Botany trifoliolata vine.
Okay, this one I have to hear about. Tell me about Botany's chameleon-like abilities.
Imagine a vine that can alter its leaf shape and color to mimic those of its supporting host plants.
Okay.
That's precisely what the Botany vine found in the rainforests of Chile can do.
Wow.
It can blend in with its surroundings, making it incredibly difficult to spot.
Wait, so it's like a plant chameleon?
Yeah.
But how does it even know what its host plants look like?
Right.
Does it have some kind of plant vision?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
Scientists are still unraveling the mechanisms behind Botany's mimicry, but it challenges our understanding of plant senses and perception.
Right.
What's even more astonishing is that Botany can mimic multiple host plants simultaneously.
Whoa.
Even those that are distantly related.
That's incredible. It's as if the vine has an internal library of leaf designs.
Yeah.
And can switch between them at will.
Right.
But what are the evolutionary advantages of such extraordinary mimicry?
There are several hypotheses.
Okay.
One is that it helps the vine avoid herbivores.
Okay.
By blending in with its surroundings, it becomes less visible to hungry insects.
Like camouflage.
Right.
But on a whole new level.
Another theory suggests that mimicking the host plant might actually deter herbivores. Right.
That are specific to that plant.
So it's like the vine is borrowing the host plant's defenses.
Exactly.
Wow.
The Botany vine's remarkable mimicry challenges our understanding of plant perception, highlighting the remarkable plasticity of plant form and their ability to adapt to complex environments.
This is all so mind-blowing.
Yeah.
We've explored the historical roots of plant intelligence, uncovered evidence of memory, communication, decision-making, and even sophisticated mimicry. But I can't help but wonder, how do plants sense the world around them? We typically think of the 5 senses we humans experience.
Right.
But what about plants? Do they perceive their environment in similar ways?
That's a great question, and it leads us into the fascinating realm of plant senses.
Okay.
Plants perceive the world in ways that are both familiar and alien to us.
Okay.
They certainly respond to light, but their perception of light
goes far beyond simple photosynthesis.
Right.
Plants use light to gather information about their surroundings, much like we use vision.
It's like they're seeing the world in shades of light and shadow.
And they're also highly sensitive to touch, the phenomenon of thigmomorphogenesis, where physical touch alters a plant's growth patterns, demonstrates this clearly. There's even emerging research suggesting that plants might respond to sound vibrations.
Really?
Particularly those emitted by other plants or insects.
Wait, so plants might be listening to their environment?
Yeah.
That's incredible. What kind of sounds would they be responding to?
This is still a relatively new area of research, but some studies have shown that plants might be able to detect the vibrations caused by chewing insects, which could trigger the production of defensive chemicals.
Wow. It's like they can hear the approach of a hungry caterpillar and prepare for battle.
And it's not just about hearing threats.
Okay.
Some researchers believe that plants might also be able to detect the sounds of pollinators.
Right.
Perhaps helping them attract these beneficial insects.
So it's like they're tuning into the soundscape of their environment, gathering information that helps them survive and thrive.
Precisely.
Okay.
And this brings us to the question of plant senses, beyond the familiar ones we experience as humans.
Yeah.
Could there be other as yet undiscovered senses that allow plants to perceive the world in ways we can't even imagine?
That's a tantalizing thought. What other secrets might plants be hiding? Yeah.
Well, for instance,
Wow.
some scientists believe that plants might be able to detect magnetic fields, which could play a role in their navigation and orientation.
Magnetic senses in plants. It's like they have a built-in compass,
Right.
helping them navigate their world.
And this ability might be particularly important for plants that grow in environments with limited visual cues, like deep in a forest or underground.
Okay.
In those conditions, sensing magnetic fields could be crucial for survival.
It makes you wonder what other hidden senses plants might possess.
Yeah.
Senses we haven't even begun to explore.
Absolutely.
But with all this talk about plant intelligence, I can't help but wonder about the ethical implications.
Okay.
If we acknowledge that plants are capable of such complex behaviors, and perhaps even a form of sentience, how does that impact our relationship with them?
Ah, the ethical dimension.
Yeah.
This is where the conversation takes on a whole new level of complexity.
Okay.
If we recognize that plants are more than just passive organisms, that they have the ability to sense, learn, remember, and even make decisions. Does that change how we treat them?
It certainly challenges our assumptions about what constitutes a being worthy of moral consideration.
Right.
For centuries, we've drawn a clear line between humans and the rest of the natural world, assuming that we are the only species capable of thought, feeling, and consciousness.
But what if that line isn't so clear? What if intelligence, sentience, consciousness exist on a spectrum? And plants occupy a place on that spectrum that's different from our own, but no less valid.
That's a profound thought.
Yeah.
It suggests that our ethical framework needs to evolve to encompass the well-being of all living beings.
Right.
Not just those that look and think like us.
Exactly.
Right.
And this has practical implications for how we approach everything, from agriculture to conservation.
Okay. If we recognize that plants are sentient beings, can we justify practices that cause them harm?
It's a challenging question, and one that we'll need to grapple with as our understanding of plant intelligence continues to grow.
Yeah, but I think it's a conversation we need to have, a conversation that could lead to a more compassionate and sustainable future for all.
I agree.
This has been an incredible journey so far.
Yeah.
We've explored the historical roots of our understanding of plants, dived into mind-blowing examples of their intelligence, and even touched on the ethical dilemmas this new perspective raises.
Right.
And we're just getting started.
Yes.
Stay with us.
Okay.
We'll be right back after a short break.
Okay. Welcome back to our exploration of the astonishing world of plant intelligence.
I don't know about you, but my brain is still buzzing from all those incredible examples of plant behavior we discussed before the break.
Yeah, it's truly a paradigm shift to consider plants as more than just passive organisms, capable of learning, memory, communication, and even strategic decision-making.
And you left us hanging with that tantalizing possibility of plants sensing magnetic fields.
Oh, right.
What's the latest on that?
Well, magnetoception in plants is a captivating area of research. It really challenges our assumptions about how organisms can sense and respond to their surroundings without a traditional nervous system.
So how do scientists even study something like that? We can't exactly ask a plant if it feels a magnetic pole.
No, you can't. It involves cleverly designed experiments where researchers manipulate magnetic fields and carefully observe the plant's responses. Some studies have shown that plants can actually align their growth patterns with the Earth's magnetic field lines, almost like they have an internal compass.
That's amazing. So it's like they have this built-in navigation system helping them orient themselves in the world.
Precisely. And this ability might be particularly important for plants that grow in environments with limited visual cues, like deep in a forest or underground. You know, in those conditions, sensing magnetic fields could be crucial for survival.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what other hidden senses plants might possess that we haven't even begun to explore.
Absolutely. There's a whole world of plant perception waiting to be discovered. For instance, some scientists believe that plants might be able to sense gravity in a more nuanced way than we currently understand.
Gravity. Isn't that just the basic force that all objects on Earth experience?
Well, while it's true that all objects are subject to gravity, plants seem to have a remarkably sophisticated ability to perceive and respond to subtle changes in gravitational forces.
Okay, can you give me an example?
Sure. Think about how a plant's roots always grow downwards, while its shoots grow upwards. This is known as gravitropism.
Right.
And it's essential for a plant's survival. Roots need to find water and nutrients in the soil, while shoots need to reach for sunlight.
That makes sense.
But what's fascinating is that plants don't just passively respond to gravity. They can actually use gravitational cues to gather information about their environment. For example, some plants can detect the tilts of a surface they're growing on and adjust their growth accordingly, ensuring they stay upright.
So it's like they have a built-in level helping them maintain their balance.
Exactly. And it underscores the interconnectedness of plant senses. It's not just about seeing or touching or hearing in isolation. It's about how these senses work together to create a holistic perception of the world.
And this brings us back to the idea of the plant mind, which is such a provocative and challenging concept. If plants are gathering and processing information from their environment, making decisions, and even displaying behaviors that suggest learning and memory, can we say they have a form of intelligence?
That's the crux of the debate,
Mm-hmm.
and it hinges on how we define intelligence. If we limit our definition to human-like cognition, then we're likely to miss the extraordinary ways in which plants solve problems and navigate their world.
It's like trying to judge a fish's intelligence based on its ability to climb a tree.
Haha, exactly. We need to expand our understanding of intelligence to encompass the diverse ways in which different organisms adapt and thrive.
And perhaps by studying plant intelligence, we might even gain insights into different forms of consciousness, expanding our understanding of life itself.
That's the beauty of scientific exploration. It challenges our assumptions, opens up new perspectives, and reminds us of the incredible interconnectedness of all living things. And if that's not mind-blowing enough, let's talk about sight.
Wait, plants can see, like they have little eyeballs hidden among the leaves.
Not exactly. We're not talking about vision in the human sense, but there's evidence suggesting plants may have a rudimentary form of sight, allowing them to detect light and maybe even distinguish shapes and colors.
Like how sunflowers track the sun across the sky. I always thought that was so cool.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just knowing where the sun is. Some research suggests that plants can differentiate between different wavelengths of light, which could allow them to perceive colors in their own way. There's even some evidence that plants can detect nearby objects by sensing how those objects reflect light.
So maybe they can't watch Netflix, but they are picking up on visual cues in their environment. That's incredible.
And all this sensory input feeds into what some researchers call plant agency. This idea suggests that plants aren't just sitting there passively, but are actively shaping and responding to their environment. They make decisions about how and where to grow, how to defend themselves, and even how to interact with other organisms.
So it's like plants have their own survival strategies, customizing their growth and behavior based on the challenges they face.
Yes.
This is all so mind-boggling, but I have to ask, what about those who argue that plant intelligence is just a bunch of hype? That plants are simply responding to stimuli in pre-programmed ways, not really thinking or making decisions?
It's a valid question. And it's important to acknowledge that the field of plant intelligence is still relatively young. There's much we don't yet understand about the mechanisms underlying plant behavior.
But does that mean we should dismiss the evidence we do have?
Not at all. Science is a process of ongoing discovery. And the more we learn about plants, the more complex and nuanced their behaviors appear.
Yeah, it's like we're peeling back the layers of an onion, revealing more and more complexity with each layer.
Exactly. And while some plant behaviors might be explained by simple stimulus response mechanisms, others, like the Venus flytrap's counting ability or the Botany vine's mimicry, suggest a level of sophistication that goes beyond mere reflexes.
And those examples of long-term memory in mimosa.
Yeah.
And the chili plants that seem to sense the presence of neighboring basil, even when physically isolated.
Exactly. These findings challenge our preconceived notions of what plants are capable of and force us to consider alternative explanations.
It's like we're being asked to rethink our entire understanding of life itself.
And that's the exciting part. Science is at its best when it pushes us to question our assumptions and embrace new possibilities.
Well, I'm definitely feeling like my assumptions have been challenged today. But I have one more question before we move on.
Okay.
Earlier, you mentioned the potential for plant neurobiology.
Oh, yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, the term plant neurobiology is still controversial,
Okay.
as it implies that plants have nervous systems analogous to those found in animals.
Right.
However, there's a growing evidence that plants have sophisticated internal signaling systems
Okay.
that allow them to process information and coordinate responses.
So while they might not have brains in the traditional sense, They do have complex networks that allow them to communicate and make decisions.
Precisely. And some researchers argue that these plant signaling systems share similarities with the nervous systems of animals, particularly in terms of their electrical and chemical signaling pathways.
I remember reading about how plants use electrical signals to transmit information over long distances, similar to how nerve impulses travel in animals.
Yeah. And these electrical signals can trigger a wide range of plant responses, from leaf movements to the production of defensive chemicals.
It's like they have an internal communication network that allows them to respond rapidly to changes in their environment.
And this raises fascinating questions about the evolutionary origins of nervous systems and the fundamental principles of information processing in living organisms.
Yeah, it's like we're starting to blur the lines between the plant and animal kingdoms, recognizing a deeper interconnectedness than we previously imagined.
And this blurring of lines extends beyond just the internal workings of plants.
Okay.
Their interactions with the external world also challenge our traditional categories.
I'm thinking about those examples of plants responding to sound vibrations, or even using chemical signals to attract beneficial insects. It's like they're actively engaging with their environment, not just passively reacting to it.
And some researchers argue that these interactions demonstrate a form of plant behavior that goes beyond mere physiology.
So it's like they're making choices, strategizing, even manipulating their surroundings to their advantage.
And this challenges our assumptions about what constitutes intelligence and agency. Can we truly say that a plant is behaving if it doesn't have a brain or a centralized nervous system?
It's a question that pushes us to the very edge of our current understanding of life itself.
And that's what makes this field so exciting. It's not just about studying plants, it's about questioning our fundamental assumptions about the nature of life, consciousness, and intelligence.
Well, my mind is certainly feeling stretched to its limits today, but I have a feeling we're just scratching the surface of this fascinating topic.
There's so much more to explore, and new discoveries are being made all the time. For instance, recent research has revealed the incredible diversity of chemical compounds produced by plants, many of which have yet to be fully characterized.
It's like we're just beginning to understand the vastness of the plant kingdom's chemical repertoire.
And these chemical compounds play a crucial role in plant communication, defense, and even their interactions with other organisms. I'm thinking about there's examples of plants releasing volatile compounds to attract beneficial insects or to warn their neighbors of danger. There's also the fascinating world of plant-microbe interactions, where plants form complex relationships with bacteria and fungi that can benefit both partners.
Like the mycorrhizal networks we talked about earlier, where fungi and plants exchange nutrients and information.
Exactly. And these microbial partners can also help plants defend themselves against pathogens, improve their tolerance to stress, and even influence their growth and development.
It's like plants have a whole team of microscopic allies working behind the scenes.
And this interconnectedness highlights the importance of studying plants not just as individuals, but as part of complex ecosystems.
It's like we're starting to see the forest for the trees, recognizing the intricate web of relationships that connects all living things.
And the study of plant intelligence offers a unique and valuable lens through which to view these challenges.
Because it forces us to recognize plants not just as resources to be exploited, but as partners in our shared journey on this planet.
And perhaps by learning to listen to their wisdom and appreciate their resilience, we might find inspiration and guidance as we navigate the uncertain path ahead.
I'm definitely feeling inspired, but also a bit overwhelmed by the sheer scope of this topic. We've covered so much ground today, from the history of plant intelligence research to the latest discoveries about their sensory capabilities, communication networks, and even their potential for a form of consciousness.
It's a testament to the incredible complexity and wonder of the plant kingdom. The more we learn, the more we realize how much we still don't know.
It's humbling and exciting at the same time.
And it underscores the importance of continued scientific exploration. We need more researchers asking bold questions, developing innovative methods, and challenging our assumptions about the nature of life itself.
Because who knows what other mind-blowing discoveries await us in the world of plants. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of plant intelligence. You know, as we've been exploring this topic, I've been thinking about the implications for our own lives.
Yeah.
Like, if plants are truly intelligent beings, you know, how does that change our understanding of our our place in the world?
It's a profound question, and one that challenges many of our long-held assumptions.
Right.
For centuries, humans have seen themselves as the pinnacle of intelligence,
Right.
the only species truly capable of thought, feeling, and consciousness.
Yeah, but as we've been discussing, the evidence suggests that intelligence is not a single ladder with humans at the top.
Right.
But rather a vast and diverse landscape with countless paths.
Precisely. What if, instead of trying to fit all forms of intelligence into a human-centered framework,
Right.
we embrace a more expansive view, one that acknowledges the unique and extraordinary ways in which different life forms have evolved intelligence to solve the problems they face?
So instead of asking whether plants are intelligent in the same way humans are, we should be asking, what kind of intelligence do plants possess? And how does it work?
Exactly. And this shift in perspective has profound implications for how we interact with the natural world. It challenges us to reconsider our relationships with plants, not just as resources to be exploited, but as fellow beings with their own forms of agency and awareness.
I'm thinking about our relationship with food. If we acknowledge that plants are sentient beings, does that change how we approach agriculture?
Oh, that's a complex ethical question, one that's generating a lot of discussion and debate.
Right.
Some argue that recognizing plant sentience should lead us towards a more plant-centric approach to food production, one that prioritizes their well-being and minimizes harm.
Right. And others might say that, plants have evolved to be eaten.
Right.
That, it's part of the natural cycle of life.
And there's also the practical consideration that humans rely on plants for survival.
Right.
We can't simply stop eating them.
Yeah, it seems like we need to find a balance, a way to meet our own needs while also respecting the lives of the plants we depend on.
It's a delicate dance.
Yeah.
And one that requires careful consideration of the ethical implications of our actions.
Right.
It's not about finding easy answers, but rather about engaging in thoughtful dialogue and seeking solutions that align with our values.
Yeah, and I think this interconnectedness extends beyond just our relationship with food. Understanding plant intelligence has implications for how we approach conservation and even the design of our cities.
Absolutely. If we recognize that plants are intelligent beings capable of responding to their environment in complex ways,
Right.
then we need to design our world in ways that support their well-being.
I'm thinking about things like green roofs, urban gardens, and even the use of plant-based materials in construction.
Those are all great examples. And in terms of conservation, understanding plant communication and their interactions with other organisms can help us create more effective strategies for protecting biodiversity.
I read about how researchers are using knowledge of mycorrhizal networks to restore degraded forests, essentially helping trees communicate and share resources more effectively.
It's a fascinating example of how we can apply our understanding of plant intelligence to solve real-world problems. It highlights the importance of bridging the gap between scientific research and practical applications.
Yeah, we need more scientists communicating their findings to the public and more policymakers incorporating this knowledge into their decision-making.
Ultimately, the future of our planet depends on our ability to live in harmony with the natural world.
Right.
And that includes recognizing the intelligence and agency of all living things, even those that seem very different from us.
It's a humbling realization, but also an empowering one. By acknowledging the intelligence of plants, we open ourselves up to new possibilities for collaboration, innovation, and a deeper understanding of life itself.
Well said. The study of plant intelligence is not just about expanding our knowledge of the natural world, it's about expanding our understanding of ourselves and our place in the web of life.
I think that's a beautiful way to wrap up our deep dive into this amazing topic. Maybe this deep dive will inspire our listeners to start paying closer attention to the plants in their lives. Who knows what secrets they might reveal?
I love that idea.
This deep dive has been an incredible journey, full of mind-blowing ideas and fascinating research.
It's really challenged our conventional thinking about the plant kingdom.
If you enjoyed this exploration of the secret life of plants, be sure to like and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. And until next time, keep those minds open and stay curious.